The storm over the mining moon of Charon 9 never truly ended. Lightning rolled endlessly across the black skies, illuminating jagged mountains of obsidian stone and oceans filled with metallic ash. Most civilized species avoided the moon completely. The atmosphere was unstable, the gravity irregular, and strange magnetic fields interfered with navigation systems every few hours, which was exactly why the United Coalition sent humans there. Captain Elias Ward stood alone, near the edge of Outpost Sigma, staring into the violent sky while freezing rain hammered against his armored jacket. Behind him, the massive refinery engines growled like chained beasts, processing rare crystal ore pulled from the planet's core. Humans had only recently joined the coalition. Most alien species still didn't understand them. Humans were considered reckless, too emotional, too stubborn, and dangerously protective. Elias had heard every insult possible during his years in deep space. Tonight, however, he didn't care, because somewhere beyond the mountains, his scanner had picked up something impossible, a biological life signal, 3 of them tiny, weak, and alone. "Captain," Lieutenant Mara said through the comms, "the storm is getting worse. Command says to wait until morning." Elias adjusted the thermal rifle on his back. "If those readings are real," he answered, "they won't survive until morning." Static crackled. Then Mara sighed. "That's exactly what I knew you'd say." The hangar doors opened with a hiss. Moments later, Elias launched into the storm aboard a rugged exploration crawler, its massive wheels tearing through black mud and shattered stone as thunder shook the valley around him. The signal grew stronger the deeper he traveled. And stranger. The scanner identified reptilian DNA, but nothing in coalition databases matched it. 2 hours later, the crawler reached the base of a collapsed canyon. Elias stepped outside into freezing rain. That was when he heard it, a cry, soft, weak, almost like a bird. He climbed carefully through shattered rocks until lightning revealed a horrifying sight. A massive skeleton lay buried beneath the rubble. Wings larger than starships stretched across the canyon walls. Black scales the size of shields reflected the stormlight. The remains of an ancient dragon. Elias froze. Dragons were myths. Every civilization in the galaxy had legends about them, but no confirmed species had ever discovered living proof. Yet here it was, dead for centuries. And beneath one broken wing, movement. Elias hurried forward. 3 tiny creatures huddled together inside the skeleton's ribcage. Dragon cubs. Their scales shimmered silver blue beneath the rain. Small horns curled from their heads, and thin smoke drifted from their nostrils as they trembled from cold and fear. One of them snarled weakly at him. Another tried to spread damaged little wings. The smallest simply stared, its glowing golden eyes locked onto Elias with desperate exhaustion. "Oh, no," Elias whispered. The cubs were starving. He slowly removed his gloves and crouched down. "It's all right," he said softly. "I'm not gonna hurt you." The snarling cub snapped at him. Tiny sparks of blue fire escaped its mouth. Elias almost laughed. "You're terrifying." The smallest cub suddenly collapsed. Instinct took over. Elias wrapped all 3 cubs inside his thermal cloak and carried them back through the storm, while thunder exploded overhead. The cubs barely weighed anything, but somehow, Elias already understood one terrifying truth. His life had just changed forever. Outpost Sigma exploded into chaos the moment Elias returned. "You found what?" Mara shouted. Inside the medical bay, scientists crowded around the cubs while alarms blared from every scanner in the room. Dr. Vera, a tall alien physician with translucent skin, stared at the readings in disbelief. "This is impossible," she whispered. Their biology violates half our understanding of evolution. One cub sneezed. A tiny burst of fire ignited a medical tray. Several scientists screamed. Ilias smirked. "Yeah," he said. "They do that." Coalition Command responded within hours. Their orders were immediate. Terminate the creatures. Unknown apex, predators, cannot be allowed to mature, the transmission declared. Destroy them immediately, and send all research data to Coalition Science Authority. Silence filled the command room. Ilias stared at the hologram transmission, then he stood up slowly. "No." The alien commanders blinked. "Repeat that, Captain." "I said no." Mara nearly choked. The hologram's voice hardened. "You are refusing direct coalition orders. They're babies." Elias said coldly. "Injured babies. They are potential extinction-level threats." Elias folded his arms. "So are humans. Yet here we are." The transmission ended abruptly. Everyone in the room stared at him. "You realize?" Mara whispered. "They could court-martial you for this." Elias looked through the medical glass at the sleeping cubs. The smallest one had curled around his discarded jacket. "Then they can try." Weeks passed. Against all logic, the cubs survived and grew fast. Elias named them Ash, Nova, and Ember. Ash was fierce and aggressive, constantly challenging anything that moved. Nova was curious, endlessly exploring machinery and vents around the station. But Ember, the smallest, never left Elias's side. The cub followed him everywhere, through maintenance tunnels, across landing bays, even into military briefings. The giant soldiers of Outpost Sigma slowly stopped fearing the cubs. Instead, they became family. Workers shared food scraps. Engineers built heated nests. Pilots taught the cubs how to chase cargo drones through the hangars. For the first time in years, the brutal mining outpost actually felt alive. Then the pirates arrived. It happened without warning. A fleet of black warships emerged from hyperspace. Directly above Charon 9, sirens screamed across the colony. Hostile, fleet ticked. All personnel to defensive position. The pirates hit hard. Orbital cannons destroyed 3 defense satellites within seconds. Dropships descended through the storm carrying armored mercenaries armed with plasma weapons. Outpost Sigma was completely unprepared. Explosions ripped through the refinery district. Smoke filled the sky. Delas led defensive squads through the chaos while civilians fled underground. But the pirates kept advancing. They wanted the crystal mines, and they were willing to kill everyone to take them. Then the eastern wall collapsed. Dozens of mercenaries stormed into the colony center. Elias fired until his rifle overheated. Too many. There were too many. A pirate commander aimed directly at Mara. Elias moved, but he was too far away. Then a roar shook the battlefield. A massive blast of blue fire exploded across the courtyard. The pirates vanished instantly. Everyone froze. Ash stood atop the broken wall, wings fully extended, huge, terrifying, beautiful, lightning-illuminated silver scales now harder than armor plating. Behind Ash, Nova and Ember descended from the storm clouds like living legends. The dragon cubs had grown, and they were furious. The pirates panicked instantly. "Dragons!" someone screamed. Nova crashed into enemy lines like a meteor. Ash tore through armored vehicles with claws that sliced steel apart. But Ember flew directly to Elias. The dragon landed beside him protectively, golden eyes blazing. Then Ember released a roar so powerful, the ground itself cracked. Every pirate froze in terror. The battle ended in minutes. Survivors fled back to their ships in complete panic. Above the burning colony, the 3 dragons circled through thunderclouds like ancient gods reborn. And every living soul on Charon 9, understood the same thing. Humans had done the impossible. They had befriended dragons. News spread across the galaxy faster than light. The dragon guardians of Charon 9 became legends overnight. Some species worshipped them, others feared them. Coalition leaders demanded Elias surrender the dragons for military study. Agon, he refused. But something else worried him more. The dragons were changing, growing smarter, too smart. One night, Ember entered Elias's quarters silently and placed something on the floor beside him. An old metallic object. Elias frowned. It was ancient, covered in simsals. "Where did you find this?" Ember tilted his head. Then the dragon did something impossible. He spoke. "Mountain." Elias nearly fell out of his chair. "You can talk?" Ember blinked slowly. "Learned from you." Over the next months, all three dragons began communicating. Not perfectly, but enough. Enough to reveal a terrifying truth. Their mother had hidden them on Charon 9 for a reason. Something hunted dragons, something ancient. Something powerful enough to wipe out entire worlds. And now it knew the cubs were alive. The first warning came from deep space. A dead colony drifting near the outer systems. No survivors. Entire cities burned into ash. Claw marks the size of buildings scarred the surface. Then another colony vanished. And another. Fear spread rapidly through coalition space. Ancient records were uncovered. Long ago, dragons had fought wars against creatures called void serpents. Massive biomechanical horrors, capable of consuming stars. The dragons lost. Almost all were exterminated. The cubs were the last survivors. And the void serpents had returned to finish the job. Coalition command panicked. Some demanded surrendering the dragons. Others wanted extermination. Elias refused both. "We protect them," he said during the emergency summit. A general laughed bitterly. "With what army?" Elias looked at the hologram of approaching serpent fleets. Then toward the three dragons standing behind him. "With legends." The war began 3 days later. Serpents descended upon coalition space, like nightmares made real. Entire fleets vanished. Planets burned. Even the most advanced alien civilizations collapsed before them. But humanity stood. And beside humanity flew dragons. Ash became a living weapon, tearing through serpent warships with unstoppable rage. Nova learned to manipulate electromagnetic storms, disabling enemy fleets across entire sectors. And Ember. Ember united civilizations. Wherever the golden dragon appeared, fear disappeared, hope returned. For the first time in galactic history, species that hated each other fought side by side. Not because of politics. Not because of treaties. Because a human had once chosen compassion over fear. The final battle took place above Earth. Thousands of ships filled orbit. The largest void serpent ever recorded emerged from hyperspace. A creature larger than moons, surrounded by living darkness. Human commanders prepared for extinction. Then Ember flew forward alone. Elias watched from the command bridge, in silence. "Come back," he whispered, but Ember kept flying, straight toward the monster. The serpent opened its massive jaws, and Ember roared. The sound echoed across space itself. Then something incredible happened. Ancient signals awakened across the galaxy. High dragons. Sleeping survivors, hundreds, then thousands. From forgotten planets and dead systems, dragons emerged from hiding. The stars themselves seemed to ignite. A dragon armada descended upon Earth. The void serpents finally understood. They had failed. The last dragon cubs had survived. And now legends had returned. The battle shook the galaxy for hours. When it finally ended, the void serpents were gone forever. Earth survived. The coalition survived. and dragons once again soared through the stars. Years later, children across the galaxy studied the story in schools. Not the war, not the battles, but one simple moment, a human walking alone into a storm, finding 3 frightened cubs beneath the bones of their dead mother, and choosing kindness. Statues of Elias Ward stood on dozens of worlds. But the old captain hated monuments. He preferred quieter things, like sitting on a mountain cliff at sunset, while 3 enormous dragons rested nearby. Ash slept curled around entire forests. Nova played among thunderstorms, and Ember sat closest to Elias, watching the stars silently. "You saved us," said one evening as he smiled faintly. "No," he answered. "You saved all of us." Above them, dragons soared freely through the endless sky. Not monsters, not weapons, legends. And it all began because one human refused to leave 3 lost cubs behind.